Hello, good morning and welcome to Sport 360 on Trust Television. My name is Mardia Umar, and a whole lot of events that occurred over the weekend when we talk about sports. When we say sports, the talks and actions and never leave anyone's mouth or mind, even if it's past the weekend. It's the start of a new week, and of course, we are here to talk about sports this morning. And we're being joined by a very good guest of ours, a friend of the house who has been here several times, and we'll be talking about sports, all of the actions and the weekend and what to anticipate later in the day. Good morning to you and welcome to Sports 360.
Very good morning to you.
Thank you very much for joining us. So we'll start with the home front. A lot of things happened. Talking about the Flamingos, we saw how they made us proud, and they actually set a mark for other women's league that we will be seeing this year. So the Flamingos are to face Colombia in the semi-finals after they passed through the quarterfinals with the United States of America, who has been in the forefront. A lot of people say we couldn't have beaten United States in that semi-finals. What do you think about, this achievement?
Honestly, for me, I want to congratulate the team once again for making every Nigeria proud, because I was privileged to watch the game, despite the fact it is working our time. But I would like to lure the victory to a peaceful atmosphere in the sports sector in the country, because I used to say times without number anytime I come to this particular place. A home that does not experience peace might not experience the progress. I think what we are having now is as a result of peace that we are having at the Nigeria Football Governing Body, which is NFF. And then I think it's working for the team. And then for me, for the Flamingo, they made us proud, and then we too were proud of them. And then if they did not try as much as possible to do anything else, they have to try as much as possible to make sure that they win the trophy, because this is the first time we are getting to this stage. And then it is thing that all of us should be proud of. And then looking at the Colombia, we've met 3 times according to the history, and then we've beaten them twice. So I don't see them as a stumbling block to Nigeria lady in this tournament. We need to get to the final, and then by the time we get to the final, once they have seen the cup or the trophy while playing, they will be able to motivate and win the trophy. So for me, I don't think it's something that Nigeria should entertain fear, because they have already made us proud already, and then we believe that they can even do more with the caliber of the technical crew they had. The like of Olu Okere is trying his best to ensure that he's telling the guests that you can do it. This is your period, this is your time, that you cannot just get it twice. Once you get it now, the whole world will be afraid of the country. I think it's a good thing for Nigeria, and then they need to keep the fire burning.
Okay, the need to keep the fire burning. That's what Mr. Joel Ajayi, our sports journalist in the studio, is saying this morning. And away from the Flamingos, we'll be talking about handball. The Premier League, Prudent Energy Premier League handball is now in Lagos. I remember it did happen in Abuja once. We hosted the Prudent Energy handball game in 2019 in the Moshood Biola Stadium, and it was a wonderful game. But right now it's in Lagos, and now we have scores from day 1 of the Prudent Energy Handball Premier League Season 5 games going on right now in Lagos. We have Rima Queens and Kwara Angels logging it out. It was a 10-10 at the end of the day. And then Kano Pillars, also with Carter Stars, played a 10-10 draw as well. Then Defender Babes, 27-27. Plateau Peacock were the team that battered then. And then we have the Niger United also scoring the same as well. It just felt like, everybody came out well prepared. And then the handball, the Prudent Energy handball game, it's not something everybody's looking up to. What do you think about the scores?
Honestly, it's an interesting game if you are privileged to watch handball, because we were there when they were playing the first phase in Abuja here. And then it was interesting, it was full of energy, it was full of skillful players, and then they were able to get more talent. And then for me, I think other sports in Nigeria should take clue from the sport like handball, like volleyball, because they are doing extremely well in the country because of the program they are having. And then this is bringing our player on top. The player are already there because they know that they are going for competition to compete, not to compete, and then at the end of the day you are unable to get anything. When you compete and you win, you know how much you are getting, especially in this handball that is going on, because it's two phases. They have finished the first phase in Abuja. This is the second leg. It's like a first half and second half, and then they believe that this second half, if you are not getting it right in the first half, that is first phase, you should be able to put your house together and get it right in the second phase. That's why you are seeing all these exciting results. When you see match to back, everybody are getting this kind of result. I think it's as a result of putting the game on ground for Nigeria, for the young Nigeria to showcase their talent to the world. And then, as you can see, before, I don't think many people know Nigeria when we are talking about handball in the country. But because of this Prudent Energy tournament that has been in the system for some time, we are able to get some players that represent us in the continent of Africa, and then nobody know whether, if all things be equal, they will still represent Nigeria in the whole world. I think it's a very good one for them.
So now, speaking about handball in the country, we've been playing handball for the past 50 years in Nigeria. And a lot of people will attribute it to, we're developing some other sports other than football. And, the achievements that have been made so far in the world of sports, precisely in handball. How do you think we've fared so far in 50 years?
Honestly, we are not there, to be sincere with ourselves, because I always to be precise whenever I am giving whatever information to the general public. Honestly, we are not there. When we are talking about the game of handball, it's a game that anybody can have. Even in your compound, you can have it because it costs less. You only need nets and box and all these things, and then you can play the game. Once you have the tartan tracks, you can play the game. So I expected every nook and cranny of Nigeria to be saturated with all this court for you to get player across the country. But as the case may be, we don't have something like that. The only facility we have is the National Stadium, all our stadium when we have it. And then it shouldn't be. If we are to develop this game, it should be almost every 2 kilometers, 3 kilometers, because once you have small space like this, you put net and then you start the game. I think we are not there yet, but with the kind of little development that the incumbent leadership of the Nigeria Handball Federation are bringing, if we did not delay, I believe in the next 2-3 years, Nigeria will be improving when we are talking about handball. But for now, we are not there. Let us be sincere with ourselves.
So I know you mentioned how we can develop handball by, going to the grassroots. And I remember in 2019 where I went to that handball game, the Prudent Energy handball game, where I did some covering at that time. And I saw some young people, young Nigerians, I'm talking about teenagers now, who are really interested in game, and they were in the stadium at that time. So do you think that, bringing it to the primary school level, the secondary school level, just like we have basketball and football flying the trade here in Nigeria, could actually do the magic for us?
The truth of the matter is that you cannot build a Rome in a day. And then I don't believe in fire brigade approach when we are talking about picking the player or getting the player. You have to start from scratch. The reason why we are having this challenge is like when you are a child, you refuse to go to primary school. You say you want to jump to secondary school. And then that is why we are having issue in handball today. Those set of players that you saw in 2019, which is like 3 years back, assuming we have a developmental program for them. When we are talking about developmental program, you pick them, you give them the competition where you pick the best among them. By now, we have a crop of players that can represent the country anywhere in the world. But Nigeria, we are just using mouths to play this sport. I've been in the sports sector for more than 15 years, covering sport. We are just using mouths to play sport. Whenever you want to pick the best player, go to grassroots, go to secondary school, organize event for them. You'll be able to pick the best player. But when you have competition next week or next month, you are picking player today. To be sincere with ourselves, you won't be able to pick the right player that will represent the country. But if you've started picking them 2-3 years ago, you must have at least first best 11, second best 11, 10 best 11. Even if the first best 11 are not doing well, you can be able to get the second best 11 and give you a result. But we are not there, because if you go to any secondary school in Abuja here now, the only thing you can see is basketball court, football pitch. You can hardly see the handball. So that is why we are in this situation. But I believe that we can change it. We can change the narrative.
Of course, we can change the narrative, like in the United States, where we have other games other than the football. I know rugby, the football we talk about, or the NBA and the basketball, you know, it doesn't even come first in the United States, not even football, you know, and we know we can do better. Changing the narrative, that's what we are looking at right now. So away from the shores of the country, of course, the EPL, the English Premier League, was, you know, filled with actions over the weekend. A lot of people expected some teams to edge out the other teams, but it never happened. We'll take a look at some of the matches that have been played so far. I'm talking about the weekend. We have Nottingham Forest, of course, versus Liverpool. It happened on Saturday, and there was some kind of disappointment there, as Liverpool did not edge out Nottingham Forest, as a lot of people would say. So that match ended 1-0 in favor of Nottingham Forest. We also have Chelsea versus Manchester United. A lot of actions we saw there, but we saw that it was a draw. They actually have to share that point equally. Aston Villa also was in action with Brentford. We saw what happened. It was 4-0 at the end of the day, and Leeds United too battled Fulham on the pitch. It was 2-3 at the end of the day in favor of Fulham. Then we have Southampton and Arsenal, the much anticipated match, you know, leaders of the table, the EPL table, battling some kind of club that, you know, it's not very doing well this season. And at the end of the match, it was 1-1. It was a draw at the end of the match. And then we have Wolves. We have Wolves and Leicester City. Leicester City, before that match, was at the bottom of the table, but it ended 4-0 in favor of Leicester City. And we also have Tottenham Hotspur and Newcastle. It ended 2-1 in favor of Newcastle United. And Everton and Crystal Palace also were in action over the weekend, and it was 3-0 in favor of Everton. Manchester City and Brighton ended 3-1 in favor of Manchester City. I think a lot of people anticipated that Manchester City was going to win that match. What do you think about all of these fixtures?
Honestly, let me start from the first game, which is Nottingham Forest, which we have one of our own, Taiwo Adeniyi, that scored the goal for his club. I think I'm happy for the young guy, because he was a former Liverpool player, and then for him to just go to that encounter and score the winning goal for his team, I think is a very good one for him. We wish him well to do it. But when we are talking about the game, for me, I am not surprised much about the Liverpool game, because right from the beginning of the season, they have not been doing well the way they ought to be doing. So it's not a much surprise for me if we have the team at the bottom of the league came from nowhere and getting the 3 points. I think it's no surprise. I think it will spur them to go back to their drawing board, if they have any drawing board, to be able to look at what they need to do to inject into Liverpool. And then the next game is that I will talk about the Tottenham Newcastle. I think Newcastle, they are coming up, because as we speak now, they are on the fourth on the league. And then for me, it's a good one for them, for going to White Hart Lane and getting 3 points is a very good one for them. And then when we are looking about Chelsea Man U, it was a game that everybody were looking forward for. But at the end of the day, Casemiro go break the back of Chelsea, because Chelsea thought they have already put three points in their pockets. But the last minute goal from the Brazilian Man U midfielder was able to make them share the points. So for me, if you look at the Arsenal game yesterday, I have some of my Arsenal friends, they were making mouth that we are going to be there, that. I told them that when we are playing a club like this, especially Premiership, you cannot say anything on the end of before the end of the game, except the ref blew the last whistle. That is when you say, okay, this is what is going to happen. They tried their best, but I believe it will be like a little bit setback for them on the target, because as from November now, many clubs, they will just be participating in the World Cup that is coming up. Before they come back, they might not get this kind of form that they have. But if they have their points, much points ahead of other teams, whenever they come back, before other people catch up with them, they must have getting their rhythm back and then carry the day. But with the way they are going, if care is not taken, they still have a whole lot of enemy that are pursuing them from that table.
Okay, enemies pursuing Arsenal, that's like the highlights for most people. You know, in the last 4 games for Arsenal, we say in the EPL, it was it's been one against other teams, and also in the Europa as well, we saw it was one in the last 2 games in the Europa. So in the last 4 games, it's been like a goal drought for Arsenal. Do you think that, you know, they're not big enough to handle the heat as the EPL goes on?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Because Arsenal, they have enough experience in EPL. But what I just want to say here is that when we are talking about champion, you will try as much as possible to make sure that you squeeze the water, or you grind your home very well and get your point. Even if it is 1 goal, for you to get that 3 points. I could remember when Leicester City won the league, for like 5 or 10 games, they would just try as much as possible to get 1 goal to get their point. So that is what I was saying when I was making my point the other time. As someone that is putting his eyes on that particular trophy, you don't try as much as possible to lose point. Because the more you get the point, the more problem you are putting, the more pressure you are putting for those people that are coming behind you. That it will get to a stage that you say, let them just be going, because I know that even whether they like it or not, they are going to win their game, even if it is 1 goal. So for me, Arsenal need to just buckle up and up their game. If they indeed they are ready to win the EPL for this season. For me, you don't need draw. You need to squeeze and get your point for you to be ahead of other.
Okay, if you're just joining us, this is 360 Sports on Trust Television. We'll go for a quick break. We'll come back as we'll continue talking about sports this morning. Stay with us. Welcome back to 360 Sports on Trust Television. That was a jubilation there from the Flamingos when they had to just cut the wings of the United States of America and the ongoing Under-17 Women's World Cup in India. That match was played in Mumbai. And of course, we have our guest, our sport journalist in the studio, analyzing the sports events over the weekend and what we are to anticipate later in the world of sport. We have Mr. Joel Ajayi in the studio. Thank you so much for being here once again.
My pleasure to be here.
So before that break, we were talking about the scores over the weekend, and one surprising game, which a mixed reaction for a lot of people actually, was that of Aston Villa. You know, that performance was great, isn't it?
Honestly, as a sports interest, is a very good result for Aston Villa, if we are to tell ourselves the truth, because they have not been having a good result when we have their former coach, the like of Steven Gerrard. And then he was relieved of his job. And then the next game they are going to play, having this kind of massive goal, it shows that something is facing somewhere. Either players are not ready to play for him, or is giving them instruction that the player they don't like at all. Because if you look at the caliber of player they have, at Aston Villa. I don't think they should be losing matches the way they were losing it before the exit of Steven Gerrard. So for me, it means there is something that go wrong between the coach and the player. Because I used to say it, if you want to win any game, you need to understand your player. You need to have a cordial relationship with them. You need to ask them some question. Why are we losing point? Because even if you are playing at home, you are losing. You are playing away, you are losing. Look at yesterday, the one they played, 4-0. It has not happened in the last. Now we've played 12. Some people have played 12. Some people have played 11. And then Aston Villa have played 12. In the last 12 games, they are not having this kind of result. And then for me, I think it's a clue for any other club. If your coach is not doing well, it's not giving you results. Because everything is all about money. It's all about results. If you are not getting results, why are you there? You have to just take your SC, don't let another person try and come and do it. So for me, it's a good one for them. But as a fan of Steven Gerrard, in the other side, I'm not. That's
where the mixed feeling comes from.
That's why I'm not comfortable, because I'm not a Liverpool fan, but I so much like Steven G. We call him Steven G. He's a captain, fantastic, but it's not good for him to just leave like that. But I believe very soon he will pick up and get another club. Maybe he can just still go back to Championship, get a better club. By then you will have enough experience for you to be at the EPL again.
Okay, maybe another chance will prove him to be a great coach that he anticipates to be. But for now, one interesting reaction after the game between Arsenal and Southampton was the fact that Nottingham Forest is the next club Arsenal will be facing on the 30th of October. And with the goal drought, which a lot of people have said, maybe something might happen when they meet Nottingham Forest. You know, antecedents of Nottingham Forest and Arsenal. In the FA Cup last year, Nottingham Forest edged out Arsenal. So, yeah. And with what Arsenal has been going through right now, in the last 4 games, we've been having just 1 goal from Arsenal, who's topping the league right now. Do you think that they have a chance? Because we saw a lot of reactions yesterday that this is what is going to happen in the next game. What's your thought?
I said it times without number here. When you are talking about English Premiership, you cannot say this is what is going to happen until when that thing happens to you. And then when we are talking about the EPL, this is the period you either lose the point or you get the point. Because you have played 12 games in the league. You must have seen a whole lot of lapses and work on it before now. So at this period now, there is no points that will be ready to lose. There is no club that will be ready to lose any points, because you have played some game. You have already understand yourself as a player. Even you understand your coach. So for Arsenal, it is going to be a very difficult game, because the pressure are on them now, because they have someone that's a club that is pushing hard to be ahead of them. And then when you soak the pressure, when you absorb the pressure, it will not give you results. What are we expect Arsenal to do in the game? Play your game, get a massive goals, and then be on top of the league. But I bet it with you, if they cannot just put their house in order, we might even witness another surprise at Emirates come next week. But I believe Arteta will try as much as possible to absorb the pressure and get the result for the Gunners.
But watching the game yesterday, we saw Nottingham Forest, that they gave them a run for their money. And a team like Nottingham Forest, of course, their past antecedents is to, I wouldn't want to say fight against big clubs and prove a point, but you know, they've made some kind of statements over the years. So do you think that, you know, it's going to be a walk in the park for Arsenal next week?
It's not going to be an easy game for them.
Okay.
The truth, that is the truth, nothing but the truth. But when we are talking about EPL, the way I used to say it, we have some club, even if they are going on relegation, they want to meet their old rival. It's always be an explosive encounter. If you look at the game between Man U and Wolverhampton, you discover that anytime they are playing, Man U always find it difficult to beat them. If Man U want to meet Leeds United, the rivalry is not now. They have it long time ago. So that's same thing applicable to Arsenal. They have their own club that they need to just try as much as possible to beat. And then one of them is Nottingham Forest. That's why I said that they need to just up their game. You need to score every available chances that you have for you to be. If you did not make use of your chances, look at what happened to Liverpool. It's not as if Nottingham Forest have a whole lot of chances, but the little one they have, they're able to bury it, get their point, and then they see the point for the club. So for me, Arsenal need to just buckle up. They need to wake up. If you know that some first player that you are using are not giving you results, why don't you try the other one to give you the results? Because I would love them to win the league because it's been long overdue for them. But I'm not their fans, but I would love them to win the league.
Okay, at some point you were sounding like an Arsenal fan, but you know, in football, like Joel Ajayi has said, anything can happen. I will just anticipate and keep our fingers crossed to see what happens between Nottingham Forest and Arsenal come 30th of October 2022. And that's how we wrap up the sports show this morning, but we won't say goodbye until say thank you to our guest for being an analyst on the sports show 360 Sports on Trust Television.
It's my pleasure always to be here. I'm very happy to be here all the time.
All right, so you join us again at 5:30 p.m. on same station, Trust Television. 360 Sports returns later. I am Martia Umar. I'll see you again.